We're your co-hosts, Vicky and Laura, and this is the Resilient Entrepreneurs Podcast, the ultimate guide for ambitious business founders and startups. Hear from business heroes who've faced unexpected challenges as we unpack how they slayed their dragon and reignite your instinct to conquer your dragon. Welcome to the best of Season 6 of Resilient Entrepreneurs Podcast, the show that understands the roller coaster ride of building a business from the ground up, with your co-hosts Laura Ann Bell and myself, Vicky Abraham. In this highlights reel, you'll hear from the resilient entrepreneurs we've met this season, each with their own amazing story of overcoming tough to thriving. We hope this will reconnect you with your reason to keep going, your why. These are snippets of much more in-depth conversations where each guest shared openly their story, their expertise, and their guidance to help you listening today, right now. When something resonates, look up the full episode, bathe in their wisdom and experience, and remember that you too are a resilient entrepreneur. Oh, and please subscribe. Come hang out with us. You're welcome to our community. Episode 122, Randy Gravett. Does work-life balance exist?
I really would encourage everybody who's listening to give some thought to what does success look like? You get to define that, every listener does. But I think if you don't give thought to that and you, how would we say it? If you live by default and you just hope that things will get better, we always say hope is not a strategy. Maybe, you don't want to bet your future on a maybe. You practice your way to where you want to go, and you behave your way to high performance is the way we'd say it to companies. Well, I think the same thing is true at home.
Episode 123, Martin Lemons. How to turn limiting beliefs into supporting beliefs.
People have huge limiting beliefs around money. You see people who have more than enough, who are always afraid that there won't be enough. And you see people who can't keep money. They keep spending it. They can't save. And typically that is limiting beliefs from their childhood somewhere. They have taken over behaviors from their parents or other important people in the early days of life. So the whole idea that there isn't enough will, in a way, stop you from going forward.
Episode 124, Patty Johnson. Thrive when business changes.
I know that there are a lot of people who have come, especially if you've come out of an environment where changing your plan was kind of a failure. You weren't right. You messed up. You didn't know what you were doing. And I think the mindset of an entrepreneur has to be like, directionally, this is where I'm going. I'm going to constantly reassess. And I think that was for us kind of that more organic growth. And some of the things early on, we thought, this is going to be a big thing for us. Well, it's like you kind of got to read the market and realize, that's not really what's going on, as well as sometimes the market changes. What are people talking about right now? You're like, right now, it's AI. Well, okay, if you're in a services business, most services business, you better at least be able to talk about how that is influencing their work. So it is for those of you, the entrepreneurs who think I got to have everything figured out, you can relax because you can't, right? You're not going to. And if you think you have, pretty good chance you got some blind spots that are going to catch up with you. So it's okay. You just take it as you go.
Episode 125, Adam Marburger. You're the problem.
You're loved. Somebody loves you. You may not realize it. Number one, God loves you, period. That's irrefutable. But number two, believe it or not, there's people that love you. Sometimes we forget. We feel like we're alone. No, there's people that truly love you. Never forget that. And number two, every one of us, when we were born, we were given a set of talents and gifts that were specific to us. I challenge those that are in dark places to it's okay to sit back and reflect, but try to identify what it is you like to do and what it is you're good at. Okay? Those things right there, doing the things that you're good at and doing the things that you like bring joy. And that's a successful life, in my opinion. What I would really say to somebody that's in a dark place right now, and this might sound hurt. I don't know. I don't want to use the word hurtful, maybe a little bold. Celebrate it.
Episode 126, Melissa Broughton, the 4-hour bookkeeper. Finances made easy.
But since I started the company, have loved having a coach. And here's why. Being an entrepreneur is lonely. You can't necessarily talk to your spouse about your business unless they're involved in the business with you. You definitely can't talk to your employees about your business. And unless your friends are in the same boat as you are, it kind of becomes, it's a difficult conversation to have. It's like talking to somebody about your kids who doesn't have kids, right? They don't quite get it. And I've always found that having a coach is helpful, just to have somebody to push me and to help me stay unstuck, because we all, of course, can revert back to bad habits.
Episode 127, Anthony Winery, from sketchy side hustles to podcast business success.
Guess what the majority of business owners are doing? They're actively engaging with podcasts, and educated experts, professionals. They're actively listening to podcasts. Although I semi-find LinkedIn as kind of a meme in a certain way as a social media platform, in terms of the audience that LinkedIn has, it's incredible. Super memey, super cringe sometimes, but in terms of the audience it's been able to cultivate, incredible. I can guarantee that audience, 99% of them are listening actively to podcasts. Now imagine that, right? Imagine that, having a platform, podcast, where the large majority of the audience you're cultivating are just well-educated, incredible people who are just always looking to learn and also have money to spend on your services and products. Is that not just like the best thing you could probably ask for?
Episode 128, Cindy Jordan, Purpose and Profit.
The loss amplified the path, if that makes sense. So I think people are afraid to look at loss. They're afraid to look at what didn't work. They're afraid to take that head on. When we did that, and, we call it, who has the D in the room, who has the decision in the room. For me, we got together as a leadership team, and we sat in a room together for, we all met in Denver. So, because people fly from all over the country, and we said, okay, our loss last year is the D. Like it is. So let's stay maniacally focused. Let's look at it. Let's analyze it. Let's ask. Let's figure it out. And so I think that the loss amplifies the path. And so for me, that it made it, again, no, there's no significant pivot, but there are changes, there are things, there are stuff that we can do. There were lessons learned.
Episode 129, Jose Berlanga, Purpose Through Pain.
In one of the big lessons, although there were, thousands of lessons from little, medium, and large ones, was to really create a mission that was greater than myself, greater than just making some money. Because I noticed that every time that I just simply focused on the profit and making a quick dollar, I ended up with a lot of problems and no dollar. But the times when you focused on the purpose, on the objective, on the mission, on the vision of your strategy, what are you trying to do and why are you doing it and where is it taking you? You tend to do a little better, and the money happens to just be a consequence of those actions. So,
Episode 130, Annalisa Gooden, the rawness of being an entrepreneur.
I didn't set out to build a tech company. I'd never built a tech company. I'd never built a product before. I'd never been a CEO before, but I really was, I was on the scent that what I was doing manually could ultimately be productized. And that if we were able to pull that off, there would be a pretty huge market opportunity to go after. And I was very compelled by that, but I had no idea what that entailed. I'd never raised money before. I just didn't know. And so I met with anybody who would take a 20-minute meeting with me that I felt was closer than I was to that kind of world. I was fortunate being based in the Bay Area that it wasn't hard you could throw a rock and like meet a founder or a venture capitalist. But I didn't run in those circles, right? I knew curators and I knew archivists and I knew art professors and I knew writers. I didn't know any of these people. So I would talk to anyone who would listen, whether it was at a party or a coffee shop or anything. And anytime someone sort of seemed like they were a little closer to that world than me, I would invite them for coffee, and then they would say, oh, who you should talk to is, who you should, there's someone I think you should meet.
Episode 131, Riggs Eckelberry, the smart way to fund your startup.
I'm going to tell you the good and the bad. The good is that I was willing to jump in. The bad is I was often jumping in without being ready. For example, in the early 80s, I started a computer company in New York City. And the first computer I sold, I was with the client trying to figure out where the on button was.
Episode 132, Rajiv Kapoor, AI Made Simple.
If you ever want to be a CEO, if you ever want to take on that type of a role, if you ever want to be an entrepreneur, you have to really believe in yourself. Before the team can believe in you, before investors can believe in you, before partners can believe in you, you have to believe in yourself. If you're not willing to believe in yourself, don't do it, because it's just not going to work. But you have to believe in yourself. You have to have thick skin. You have to be willing to take the risks. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you're going to make mistakes. You got to roll with the punches, and you have to deal with it.
Episode 134, Suzanne Mariga, Smart Money for Entrepreneurs.
I think one of the things that doesn't happen in startups is the concept of seed money. And what that means is, before I even start a business, how much am I willing to lose, right? How much am I willing to gamble? Because at the end of the day, just like an investment in the stock market, your company is an investment and it may or may not work out, right? There are going to be lessons that you're going to learn along the way. And so, first of all, deciding, how much do I want to invest up front and creating that seed budget? So how much am I going to spend on inventory if I'm going to get into a retail type of business? If I'm going to hire my first employee, how much am I going to spend? And when do I project that I am going to break even? And when do I project that I am going to turn to a profit? So first of all, putting that money aside as seed money in the beginning and creating a budget for that is extremely important.
Episode 136, Dane Deutsch, Character First Influence.
Our smartphones, are you addicted, not addicted? Every time you scroll, you're getting a dopamine hit. There's even connections between that and drug addiction, overdose, and suicide. So making sure that you're leading with character first in everything you do really helps to be able to not only solidify your own personal growth in your mindset, your attitude, all of that, but also gives you the opportunity to be able to coach others to be character driven or character first leaders as well. And that elevates the whole culture of the organization. So you have better engagement, right? You have a healthier culture, just like Stephen Covey. When the speed of trust goes up, costs go down. How does trust go up? You got to practice trust. So that character skill, trustworthiness, is really, really important.
Episode 138, Sherry Lynn Lilly, Invisible Strength, Visible Impact.
Anybody can wake up and just go, I'm going to start a business. But I think that when you figure out how to take what you have and whether it's what you have acquired on your own or whether it's something that landed in your lap, when you can take it and shape it into something so meaningful. I think that's why you end up with serial entrepreneurs. I'm now you might as well call it 3 businesses in. And have other ideas. My children are like, Mom, slow down. But yeah, I think that it makes a lot of sense. It also makes the entrepreneurial journey a happy one. So no matter what the struggles are, like I enjoy it. I enjoy it every day, even when I'm feeling disgruntled about something that didn't go right on a particular day, or it's tax time and I'm like, but I enjoy it every day. I enjoy being able to wake up and create what I want in the moment, in that day. I love creating my own work and having my own work schedule. And I love it. I love everything about being an entrepreneur. But I think mostly what I love is what you're just expressing, which is that for me, my entrepreneurial journey is indeed my purpose.
Episode 140, Arch Downey. Find your true worth.
So I had this period of time where it was no job, no relationship, and at one point, no home. I go, well, this is a good place to be. Now what? And the only thing I knew was that I wanted to be a better human being. And I wasn't, I knew I wasn't the kind of person that I wanted to be. And I just knew there was the one thing I knew was that I wanted to be a better human being. I had no idea of what that looked like. And I had no idea of how I would get there, wherever there might be. So it was just that one step after another.
Episode 142, Kim Rohn. Balance for business success.
And I thought to myself, well, what do I want to do that's bigger, greater? What have I always wanted to do? And so for any listeners who are out there who are kind of questioning what they're doing, they know they want more. Maybe they've been thinking about entrepreneurship, starting something, which is so easy now today with the online world. That's me. My story is I pulled the Band-Aid. I retired. No guarantee, even though we had 2 kids in college and my income mattered. And 3 years ago, I started my business for the love of. And it can be done at any time. I truly, truly believe that if you have clarity and you know what you're good at and where you want to go. And so I just want to empower anybody, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's a full-time thing, whether you are a stay-at-home mom and you want something to do, it's so easy now if you're willing to take the risk.